to order at 7:03 on Monday, March 9th, 2020. Roll call, please.
Director Penrose,
Here.
Director Loman,
Here.
Director Dye,
Here.
Director Sater Carter,
Present.
Director Reddick,
Here.
and Director Blanchard.
Here.
Public comment, oral communication. Before we go in, I hear there's a slide projection. Before we go into that, I will make a comment that Scott was reading Next Door on Saturday night, and somebody had posted that they had been on Montero Beach and they smelled sewer matter. Scott called Sam, and Tony, bless his heart, showed up at the beach. I don't know where he is. Showed up at the beach and followed up on it, and then came out again on Sunday morning and assured us that he could see no problems with the sewer system at all. And such prompt action on a public health and safety issue is really important. And so I want to thank not only Tony, but Keishan and Tim and the rest of the crew who work here, because this kind of responsibility and caring doesn't happen in a vacuum. So Tony, specifically, thank you, but Tim and Keishan and everyone else, thank you from all of us who enjoy the beaches here. Next. I need to move, right?
Just briefly.
Okay, that's fine, no worries.
And should we say that all of the testing shows that no odors on the beach are due in any way whatsoever to sewage?
That's right.
There is no evidence whatsoever that sewage is impacting our beaches or our shores.
Very good. Yeah. Lights off. No, do we need lights off? That's nice.
We're not doing closed session?
We are, but
Yeah,
this is public comment.
Public comment,
Oh, public comment, thank you.
I have two 30-second videos which I'd like to share to the board as well as with the public,
Thank you.
and therefore I'd like to
These are cool.
show that. I have another one. Number two.
Which might be about.
As a busy mom juggling family, errands, and everything life throws at me, I try my best to be environmentally conscious. So of course, I buy flushable wipes thinking I'm doing the right thing. But it turns out flushable wipes aren't actually flushable. I found out the hard way. When flushable wipes caused a clog and flooded my house with sewage, it ended up costing me thousands of dollars in damage and a big headache with the insurance company. It's safe to say our family will never flush a flushable wipe again, and instead put them where they belong, in the trash.
Very nice.
Thank you very
Very,
much.
I love that. Can we borrow that?
Yes. Yeah. Sure.
Thank you.
And link to it on your website too.
Yeah.
That's what Montero is going to do.
Yeah, I'd like to see it on, at our city council meeting.
There might be a small copyright cost
Mother's Club.
Mother's
Club.
Free
I was-
flushables.
It's a
for
modest
years.
fee, however.
It's a modest.
I was at Costco today and somebody was buying some baby wipes, and they were made with Tencel. It's a fabric.
Yeah.
I have dresses made out of it.
That's
I
why,
Yeah.
wash these dresses.
that's why they don't break down.
That's why they won't break down, is this stuff is now made out of plastics, and Tencel's a really nice, natural fiber made from plants, but it doesn't break down.
Very strong.
We will
Yeah.
have, at the Dream Machines, we're gonna have a booth there, and one of the things I'm gonna have set up at the table is I will have something with flushable wipes and toilet paper so that people can see that they don't break down.
Great.
Maybe the city
Just a
sustainability
visual.
fair too, on the 18th of April.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
26th.
Maybe somebody sent her
26th.
Are you gonna be, you're gonna be there, you can have a
Dream machines?
booth? No, the
Sustainability.
sustainability fair.
We have
When
a-
is that?
Well, it was gonna be
Earth Day.
Earth Day, but wasn't it changed? The date was changed.
I forget.
I'm not familiar with.
Well, I know they, just as a FYI, the county has put out a notice that non-essential gatherings of more than 50 people are being discouraged, so thank you, Tim. So, dream machines may not happen, that's something to keep an eye on. And even your sustainability fair may be a issue.
Yeah, the day before the Dream Machines was the Coastside Wildflower Day again, sponsored by local parks and things. We have the same concern, we're trying to get word. It's obviously more people, they're scattered and they're outside, but we don't know. We got about 6 weeks to figure that out.
Right, so
The whole thing may just get canceled, we don't know.
keep an eye out. We are going to recess into and go into closed session. We have conference with legal counsel on a claim filed by Beverly Marshall, anticipated litigation, one case, government code paragraph to the lawsuit by Half Moon Bay, existing litigation, government code paragraph, water quality order, and consideration of the initiation of litigation.
That one is two cases rather than one.
And that
as
one
it
is
has
two
been.
potential cases, I see, whoa. So, to the audience, you might want to run to New Leaf and get,
Boot up, we have a boot up.
Okay.
Okay.
call the meeting back into open session, consent agenda. Do we have,
Madam
Anything to report out?
Chair, there,
no, right. Direction has been given to staff on, let me see,
closed session items?
the closed session items, E. Otherwise, there was no action taken. Okay, approved minutes for February 10, approved disbursements for March 9. Interestingly enough, the checks have all been signed before approval.
So moved?
Received 1920 revenue and expense report for period ending January 31, 2020, and received quarterly investment report for period ending December 31, 2019. Keisha.
Second.
Yeah, I would like to introduce Peter from Mace Consulting, who's done the financials for us. He's put together the disbursements, revenue expense report, and the quarterly investment report. So the board would like to give any feedback, any changes into the reporting structure. They're welcome to do it now, or you can do it later on. But just wanted to introduce Peter from Mace, who's working with us.
Peter, I
Thank
think,
you.
given our tight time frame, maybe we'll comment later.
Yeah, I think we should perhaps have that for a future agenda. Okay, regular business, item
Oh,
A.
did we vote on the?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous, regular business, authorize general manager to issue a purchase order with Johnson Control to replace press room air handling unit in an amount to not exceed $49,318.
Can you give us a brief description of what this will do? Should we
Yes, I
use
can,
this one here?
The air handling unit has not been functional for quite some time due to the corrosive environment. And I'll let Tim explain a little more. We've got photographs of the present air handling unit which is not functioning in the packet. But I'll let Tim explain a little more on that.
The air handling unit is for the press room. There's two components to it. One of the air units draws the air out, and the other one brings the fresh air from the outside into the press room. You can see from the pictures on page 51, I believe it's page 51 on everyone's packet. That's what the air handling unit drawing the salt air in through it looks like over a period of time. We looked at trying to get it going, and as you can see the veins in the picture that are sort of in the center of that thing. They're not supposed to be there. They should be around the outside, so it pretty much gave up the ghost. Right now, the guys, I mean, they're still in the press room. They still have the work that they have to do in there, but they do have periods depending on what's going on where they can only be in there for a certain amount of time because they might get a little bit of a headache due to the hydrogen sulfides that are created from operating the filter belt press if they're in the room too long. So
Do we have
This-
a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, thank you very much, all
I
in
wish we
favor?
could show the camera,
Aye.
the picture.
Aye.
Aye.
Construction of wet weather storage project, expansion project.
Yes. On December 9th of last year, the board approved the design for wet weather storage expansion project. And Sam's staff advertised the notice for bids, went out, advertised it in newspapers, went to the plan room, and we had a mandatory pre-bid meeting. 6 apparent responsive bids were recorded, and the apparent lowest is Anderson Pacific for an amount of $1,298,600. And it's up for discussion with the board.
I move that we put this off for 2 weeks until our next meeting, make a decision then.
Do we have a second?
Second.
I think
All
we need a
those
little
in favor?
background here, a little discussion. I think the goal is to get more information. The bids are exceptionally higher than we anticipated. And, Heckman Bay has questions about it. And can we actually look at at a cheaper, more cost-effective project? So I think it bears some need for value engineering. I'd like us to hire an independent outsider to review it and see if we can retool the project at a more favorable cost. Otherwise, the most cost-effective approach would be to just pay the fine, right now.
Do we have any more comments?
I don't see the point in making the comments. Why don't we just vote?
Okay, I will make a comment. This project was on the books 4 years ago. There was a lawsuit. It slowed it down. It has raised the costs. It was slowed down again. And so it is now many years later and we're looking at it. I don't know why these issues weren't brought up when it was initially approved. And I don't see that we're going to be getting much in the way of approval, so we're only going to continue to slow this down. In which case, the costs will go up. Rick?
I do have a comment, and they were talking about trying to get a hydraulic study again on this. Nothing's gonna happen in 2 weeks. There will be no hydraulic study in the next 2 weeks. So,
Well, I don't know
We
if 2
just
weeks
keep-
is sufficient, but I think we should have the value engineering study to take a look at how we can reduce this cost.
And in 2 weeks, we should know the cost of a hydraulic study and we should know how long it will take. So we can look at it a little bit more clearly in 2 weeks.
Well, I think we're actually talking about two different things there. There's the value engineering, tell me if I'm wrong, Dan or Keishan. We need a value engineering study on the project as proposed. I don't know why it needs to be the size that it is. I don't know why it's way more expensive than anticipated. I'd like somebody to look at the scope of work, look at assess the need and get back to us on that. I do totally support a hydraulic study, but as we talked about, that's kind of a longer project. I don't know if there's a shorter hydraulic analysis that could be done, but I think the most urgent thing is to get a review of the project and see if we can value engineer it and reduce our costs.
The piece that I'm interested in, sorry,
Go on.
is also the capacity of this plant and the potential for a much larger storm that would overstrain our capacity here. And I think that's a pretty straightforward look at the storm that we know that took 11.7 million gallons it's supposedly designed for 15, but we don't actually know for sure what its capacity is. How big was that storm? And you know, what if we get a 500-year storm? I think the cost of this is not gonna go down. I don't know that we can value engineer a lot of, we can make a significant reduction in the cost. And the notion of more capacity to protect us from overwhelming our plant seems to me really worthwhile. I'm willing to take a couple weeks to answer some of these questions and get a little more information, but I think I definitely support going forward with this, unless something comes up that says to me, this capacity is not ever going to be needed, because I think the potential is there that we need it, and we would be wise to move forward and be proactive in protecting our facility and our capacity.
But I think we need to justify what we do to the public, and we
I agree
need
with
data.
that.
So to me, you know, in my world, project management work for capital projects, you know, when there's a question, a significant question about, is this the right project at the right price? You know, you have a peer review, or you have somebody look at the value engineering. And I think, in this case, given that it's way higher than we anticipated, that we need a reality check. And we very, you know, may well have to spend this money. But I wanna know that we have to spend this money and that there's no alternative, so that's why I
Well,
want to know.
this project was in fact in the peer review from decades ago,
We had
and
multiple engineering companies
Multiple-
all over the place. The alternative was 10 million. With
And that
the
was
multiple
20 years ago.
pipelines and, I just asked
well,
that we have
let me
we
finish.
do a roll call vote.
Yeah, we have an engineer who's been working on this project in the audience, am I correct? Tim, have you been working on this? Maybe you could answer some of these questions quickly.
Certainly.
We need a motion to extend the meeting.
So moved. 15 minutes?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
So I just
Tim.
wanna
No,
remind
Tim is
everybody
going to
that
speak.
just one thing. We've been told that we have until March 31st of next year to meet the water board's requirements. You know, we have some time before the bids expire, we can actually ask for an extension on the bids. Therefore, it seems to make sense to me that we take some time and get this additional information.
Tim, if you would be so kind. Introduction. Tim Monahan, who has been working on this project off and on since its inception.
Since, well, it's 2012.
Right.
And I agree that, the water board, they would like this completed as per our agreement with them due to the spills by, the end of March of next year. But my only concern is that the fabrication of these boxes, takes several months. We've heard anywhere from 4 to 6 months to fabricate and deliver to the site and put in. With that time frame, if we were going to do anything to look at another study, a hydraulic analysis, we'd need to get that underway, you know, immediately.
We're not talking about the hydraulic analysis initially, we're
Could
just
you let
talking
him
about
finish, please?
Yeah, I
Thank
just
you.
wanted to
Thank
correct what
you.
he said.
Okay, and also, the bids are going to expire. It's 60 days that, you know, we need to notify the contractor, and if they are willing to extend, we can certainly negotiate with them. I don't know what the cost of that will be, I don't think anything. And then as far as value engineering, the structures are extremely simple, and that's the underlying engineering beauty of this project. It's no pumps, no working equipment, no mechanical equipment, no valves. They're boxes, they fill in, they drain out. With that value engineering, we could look at making them smaller or changing the configuration from a box to a pipe, but again, the bottom line is we looked at alternatives, we looked at pipes instead of boxes, we looked at different types of materials, HDPE and fiberglass, and the bottom line is the prices are all, from the manufacturer's standpoint, about the same. The big price is in installing them, the cost of getting cranes out here, earth moving, things like that. That's what's driving the cost. We had numbers from the precast manufacturers when we were in the redesign of this project that all came in consistently about the same, about $400,000. We more than doubled those to cover construction costs. We reached out to contractors and asked what they would think the price would be. But then on bid day, they came out staggeringly higher, and we were as shocked as everybody else is. And I think that's just an indication of the cost of doing construction in the Bay Area right now. It's very expensive to even get a contractor to call you back. So with that, I can field any other questions if I can.
In your professional opinion, do you think we should move forward with this project?
That's a very difficult question to ask, but I'll do my best. Again, I see the economics of it. From an economic standpoint, 300,000 versus 1.2 million is a staggering difference. I do believe that storms are going to be getting more intense and longer in the future. We have 200,000 gallons of capacity now. That has been a lifesaver in many events since they were installed. More capacity would provide us even more reassurance that the flow from the north will not impact operations down here at the plant.
So you're saying this would be equivalent to an insurance to protect both the plant and from spills?
Yes, and the beaches and
The big storm that we had, that this was almost inundated in this holding facility and the plant. Do you know what definition of storm that was? 100-year, 6-month?
we were combing the NOAA website today to try to find out if they categorized that storm. And we could not come up with anything. We had the rainfall data, and it varied, but I think the truest data that we have is the rain gauge here at the plant, and that flow, that's true what is here at the plant.
And we have that flow in a time range so we could look and see what was equivalent in the past.
Yes, and that storm, I believe, was 11.7 MGD coming through the plant, which usually dry weather flow is less than 2.
Right.
And so there was a significant impact, and as spoken earlier, the plant has a capacity of, a throughput capacity of 15. I'd hate to see the day that happens, because we might lose the biological process, which is, would set us back months, set the treatment plant back months.
That's a good point. Rick?
One quick comment. We keep saying, yes, we have plenty of time till March of next year. Nothing can happen here on the coast after November, because we'll be in the rainy season. You can't be digging mud out there and carrying stuff around. So if we delay, we can just lose the whole cycle. Besides putting ourselves at risk for another year, it could then be 2 years, and the prices are all gonna go up again, so.
So Rick,
Plus,
what
we
you're,
wanna build a park there, we wanna get this done.
Yes.
right,
Setting up Granada Parks and everything else.
okay. Any
So
more
let me ask
questions?
yeah, I have a question. So are Montera and Granada willing to pay the difference?
Oh, bullshit. Are you willing to put the community at risk and pay the $3,000
We're
fine
willing to put
and
money
walk
into
away
it, we've
from it?
already agreed to put money into it, but a lot of the flow that this project is aimed at taking care of is caused by stormwater and I&I and the collection systems that are the responsibility of the agencies. Now, we're willing to put in for this project if you wanna move forward.
Well,
I'm
and
asking a question, would you be willing to pay the difference?
If-
Since it's
if-
mostly affecting your
We've
agency.
paid $1
wait a
million.
minute. We would be willing to discuss that if Half Moon Bay is willing to limit its flow to the dry weather flow in a wet storm.
We're aggressively going after our I&I.
So
Will
we're-
you?
And we can delay this 2 weeks and we can talk more about that if you want to, but.
Well, we've got a motion and a second. Would you restate the motion, please?
That we bring this back for discussion in 2 weeks.
All those in
Can we
favor?
do this as a roll call?
Let's do this as a roll call.
Director Penrose,
Aye.
Director Loman,
No?
Director Dye,
Yes.
Director Slater Carter,
No.
Director Reddick,
Aye.
and Director Blanchard.
No.
Thank you. So it doesn't pass, or does it? Do we need a majority vote?
Passed.
It passed.
It does
It does
pass
pass,
because the
okay.
2 city representatives voted for it and 1 additional representative.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm not going to be willing to postpone it again. I wanna move forward. Personally, I will look forward to having additional information in 2 weeks. There are some gaps to me in what would make me completely convinced, but I am largely convinced that this is an important project we should move forward with, and so I am prepared to resolve this in 2 weeks.
Okay, adopt the twenty
I have
twenty-one.
Sorry, I have one thing to address, that staff will not be able to complete the value engineering in 2 weeks. And any value engineering will require rebidding, the bidding process has to start again.
That's right, I'm not looking for value, I'm looking for
I'm
more
just making it,
backup information.
yeah, I'm just making it clear, because one of the directions was to do value engineering.
I tell you what, for everyone who voted no, please put your questions in writing and submit them to Keishan so he can get them to the engineer.
I
So
think the
that-
agency managers ought to have a discussion about this too.
I think this is a board
Our
decision.
manager has already made a decision.
This is a board decision, not an agency manager decision. Adopt the 2021 having agency managers discuss things in private with no records, no tape recordings, no
They're already doing
minutes.
that on a monthly basis with our
That's right,
general manager.
and that's right, and Half Moon Bay has ever so wisely and often said that things need to be transparent and in public, so perhaps they could have that discussion in public, but not privately. Adopt a 2021 capital improvement plan. Comments? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Authorize the general manager to execute a contract with Proper Accountancy for performing the financial audit for financial year 2018-19.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Update on emergency digester cleaning project and determine by a 4/5 vote if that there is need to continue the emergency action. Discussion? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I'll just note that, based on the staff report, this project is scheduled to get done, it's just not going to happen quite as quickly as they had hoped. But it's a really important project and we need to support it.
Motion carries. General manager's report.
Any questions? Staff is here to answer.
Okay, attorney's report.
I talked enough in closed session, I will
Thank
not talk
you.
now.
Director's report. Topics for future board consideration, we have that on the agenda, and we are going to add, for the next meeting, construction of the wet weather storage expansion project. Adjournment, we're gone.
Very good, super. Good, good.
Thank you, that was a record